Welcome to the Learn From Us podcast. My name is Seth.
I'm Paul.
Oh, it's the first time you've ever done that.
Yeah, this is the first time I've ever done that. I thought you were looking at me to kind of chime in.
No, I just went for it. Do you have a go-to accent you like to use?
Good day, man. I always do that one, like literally.
Like just speak just do a whole couple paragraphs in Australian. Go.
Well, that's what I was trying to tell you before. That's why I was like,
Just sit. You're not really.
What do you want me to say? I'll start reading something. I'm gonna go to Market Watch and start reading.
You can't just talk. What's your go-to? Is it Australian? Why?
I don't know. I think it's probably the easiest one. I'm not very good at accent guy.
Yeah. So,
the Golden State Wow. Is that even right? I don't think it's right.
So I took a couple photography workshops from some Australian people, and I have some Australian friends. So you could really say, "Hello, my name is Seth. This is Paul.
So good.
This is Paul. And let me tell you a little something about." Oh, no, that's wrong. Let me tell you a little something about photography. Okay. There's a little ditty here you can do. So I'm friends with a guy named Steve Saporito, and he's an Aussie, you know, and he would say things like, "What in the fuck is a mini session?" So we're all gonna do this anyway. So Australian is funny, but my wife is not really. I don't think there's many women that are like I don't think like normal women like think
are funny.
No, they don't think like us. Like I practice like Australian accents. My wife does not practice accents. All of her accents, whether it's like if she's trying to like the Chinese or Hispanic sort of accent, or they're all the same for her. And all she just goes to, if I ask Beth like give me a Chinese accent, she'll just go to like let me just order Chinese food. Right, or Mexican, she'll just order Mexican food. Mexican, like his, Spanish. So, but you haven't really. So, what other ones are you into?
India, Durka.
That's all you got?
I don't know. Listen, I'm not an accent guy. I don't think.
Our Indian folks help us with a lot of our businesses.
That's true, but I don't really talk to them very much on the phone.
I do.
Yeah, you do with Rohan. Hey, what's up, Rohan?
Rohan Sharvani. Sharvari is her
Sharvari.
name. Yeah, I love it. Of course, I went to school, a chemistry degree with a lot of people from all over the world. It's like, hey, you want to go play some volleyball? It says this is mango lassi, Indian food.
Is this at all offensive?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Like, I'm just trying to talk like them because I love the people. And I love,
them.
When an Australian person starts talking to me, I'm like, oh, my eyes light up. Like, yes, keep going.
My tennis coach is Australian.
Oh, okay. So,
but I don't even notice the accent on him anymore.
Oh, really?
It's just so like, I just know it.
So we've had requests from multiple fans to talk about our favorite movies for a whole podcast, which we're not going to do. We are going to talk about a little bit about, Paul, you wanted to mention something about Tesla.
No, I didn't. It was more of the
which is spelled Tethla. Tesla.
Well, down a lot right now, but I actually like the conversation about tariffs a little bit more.
Tell me about tariff. Well, yeah, so Tesla's horrifically down, right? It was up well over 300.
It was 383, I think, was its peak, and then it got as low as 170 something.
How does a company lose half its stock value and is totally fine?
In 6 months.
I have one parked. No, not 6 months. No, 300 was a year or so.
Oh, you're right. Oh my God, you're right.
Years.
No, 383 was last summer.
I have a Tesla in the parking lot, and I'm scared that I won't be able to get parts for it.
You'll get. I think in the worst case, if there's a bankruptcy for it, somebody would buy it.
You think Tesla could go all the way down to that?
Absolutely. Oh, it's up to 207 now.
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching.
Tell us about tariffs. There's so many people driving the car right now. I want to know about your thoughts on tariffs.
I'm very anti-tariffs, and people are going to hate me for that. I'm big on free trade. I believe that the best product provided to people at the most cost-effective manner should win. All tariffs do is tax the middle class more. That's all it does.
Now, I think a lot of our leaders, they like to say, well, we're gonna. I think they want the U.S. population to think that we're punishing the Chinese by putting a tariff on them.
And a lot of people believe that.
Yes,
but it's absolute garbage.
I think I would say well over the majority thinks that when Trump says we're gonna.
I'm going to interject.
Go ahead.
I'm not a fan of Trump, but let us not just blame Trump for this because it's a very popular liberal rhetoric as well, that we got to protect our American jobs by all my liberal friends from college were the ones who said, these kind of things. It's a very common theme. And the reason Trump says it a lot is because he campaigned on the whole. Is that microphone okay?
You're great. I'm just looking at the volume levels.
Trump campaigned on that Mexicans taking your job, so we're gonna punish them.
That's right. When in actuality, a tariff punishes us
because things cost more now. And so the average family that makes $55,000 a year combined, when their product that was the things they need costs 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks, and that you double or whatever, the 50% increase.
It's quadrupled.
It's a lot.
I have a buddy in California, and he orders like shipments of
it depends what products you have and all that stuff.
It does. Some people aren't touched.
Yeah, of course.
I'm surprised by it. But it's straight up. I mean, whatever went through, he was ordering, say he orders a box of $10,000 worth of goods. He was paying $250 in tariffs, and it instantly jumped to $1,000, and he's been freaking out ever since.
Well, that's a 7.5% overall increase in the cost of his stuff versus it's not that big of a, but still the whole point is we're talking about protecting, middle class and stuff like that. They got to remember that this doesn't affect anybody but poor and middle class people because these are people are buying, things on an everyday basis that all of a sudden they need and all that stuff.
So what does the tariff do?
It just increases our costs.
What is he supposed to do?
Well, the theory behind it is
I know what he's supposed to do.
It generates more revenue for us. It protects our jobs because now things are more expensive to bring in, so therefore you can make them here and blah, 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 blah.
But if they're not being made here or someone won't make them for the same price.
I'm sure more things will start being made here now.
It's a long process, right?
Yeah, but that's not the point. The point is whether it's made here or abroad, it's still going to cost more to the end consumer. Because let's say there was a product that was $100 cost to land it here from China. Now it's going to be $200. Well, now, before it was $150 to make it here, now $150 seems reasonable, but guess what the factory here is going to do? Oh, it was $200 before. It would be $200 if you bought it from China. It's $190 now. You're still saving 5%. Mm-hmm. So you still got an increase all the way across. You still have a 90% increase in your cost. Or whatever. By the way, I'm throwing an example out there, but the whole point is it costs us more money here. It's just inflationary. That's all it is. Causes inflation, causes people, but we haven't seen huge income growth and blah, blah, blah. Although it's just... it doesn't do what everybody thinks it does. It's political posturing.
So why is Trump such?
Why are all politicians?
What does he do? Him especially.
It's not him especially though. Listen,
so he's the president now. Is what I mean to say.
Correct.
So like that, I can't.
He's
remember
doing it because
8 years ago.
he's doing it because his strong base is the guy who's blaming Mexico and China for all the ills of the world. That's it.
China's killing us on tariffs.
Yep. Just like the liberals, their big base is rich people are the reasons why you're poor.
Yeah.
It's the same story, different characters. That's all it is. That person's the reason why you are not successful. Okay, sounds good. So we're going to go punish them. Why? We're going to tax them more. We're going to tear. What's a tariff? It's just a tax. That's all it is. That's all this stuff comes down to is who do we blame and how do we get, and at the end of the day, guess who pays more? I'm still going to be able to afford, if my shoes go from $100 to $120, I will be fine. But if your shoes go from 40 to 50 or whatever it is for a middle class, it's going to be a problem. You have 5 kids, that's going to be a problem. 3 kids, that's going to be a problem. And that's the thing that bothers me. It's that people don't look at the domino effect. It's just, okay, well, this is the issue. All right, great. Let's limit the issue by doing this. Okay, well, this falling over causes a ripple effect all the way down. It's no different with income tax policy, tariffs, anything like that. Nothing. No difference. But we all justify it because it's for the greater good. It's like, well, is it? I don't know. Maybe.
Have these tariffs affected any of your companies?
Of course. Yeah, we import a lot from China.
How so?
Everything we import. There's products there that now, we're seeing big. But we look at it and going, well, everybody's going to have this issue. It's just affected us in the sense that now we have to outlay more money ahead of time.
Well, I have always wondered. See, I haven't been involved with business, obviously, as much as you have. So I've always wondered, at what point in this country did we say, I can just have folks in China make this for much cheaper, and I can save a shit ton of money, and I can increase profits on all the stuff I'm selling? It seems like, when did that start happening? When did we go away
decades ago?
Yeah, from American-made.
Well, do you want me to look up the numbers on manufacturing jobs? Like what percentage of the population, how many manufacturing jobs? It's insane how much manufacturing has dropped in the last 50 years.
Because I think that decision, whenever we started doing that, was both obviously really great for the country, or maybe just some people in the country, and obviously really bad for the working class.
Not true.
Not true.
Not true.
Go on.
Every class of citizen in the U.S. has a better life today than they did 50 years ago. Far better. Far better. Yes, are the rich richer? I don't even know the stats on that one, but I'm going to tell you right now, the poor in the United States of America are the richest poor people in the world.
When you say far better, you're saying in the 60s there were poorer people?
Oh, for sure. Everybody's life here is better now than it was in 1965. If you were, the richest life is better, the middle class life better, and the poorest. In fact, I'd say the poor, the lower income people have probably seen a bigger increase in terms of overall. It's still poor people. Don't get me wrong, everyone. I'm not sitting there saying but I'm sitting there saying in the United States of America, there are areas where a poor person and a upper class person could probably not be told apart. And I always tell people this. You go to Mexico, you go to the Middle East, you will tell the difference between the rich and the poor. Here, if I go to a baseball game, I can't tell the person sometimes makes $35,000, $40,000. I know guys who are multimillionaires who look like they make $30,000 a year. Other countries, that doesn't happen.
I don't think you look too different from anyone else.
Well, I dress different and all that stuff. But when I wear my khaki shorts and a t-shirt,
sure.
You
just look like a yuppie.
Yeah, exactly. Manufacturing United States. U.S. factory jobs as a share of U.S. payrolls have been a steady decline for 75 years.
Huh. So right after
we went from 38% of total payrolls to now we're at 9%.
Huge drop.
Huge drop. But guess what? People like my father think that's a bad thing. There's a lawyer guy, who goes, well, what are we making here? It's like, guys, economies change. They evolve. We don't have to worry about always making stuff. If we become more of a service economy, that's fine. Ohio's unemployment rate at the end of April was 3.3%. We were a big manufacturing. We still are a big manufacturing state, but it's gotten less and less over the years, and we're at 3.3%. So you're telling me the people who lost their jobs in 1990, 1985 were unemployed since 1985? No. We adapted. Something happened. They found other jobs. And I just feel like everybody tries to simplify it, saying, oh, this is exactly what it is. Like, no, it's not. We're going to make less stuff. We're going to concentrate on doing more high-tech manufacturing here, or something where you can afford to have it built here. I don't know. The whole point is, just because a job goes away doesn't mean it's gone forever. And just because a tariff is meant to punish other countries, it doesn't punish them. Now, granted, it is punishing them, but it
in
also,
a roundabout way,
yeah,
right?
But it punishes us too.
It punishes us first and then them.
Yeah, theoretically. I can see why you'd say that. Yeah,
right.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I think that's pretty logical. Yeah, because as soon as it's probably because the price increase goes like immediately.
Unless, of course, they retaliate like Canada did by putting more tariffs back on us.
I don't know they did that, did they?
Well, from what I gathered, Canada's, from conversations I had, is like, Canada is blasting us on some tariffs. It's not as
the People's Republic of Canada.
Yeah, but that might be totally incorrect. That's what someone said. Someone who's really fired up about tariffs and how we should pump more on Canada.
Who said this? Is it a friend of yours? Or is it
Not at all.
It's a famous person.
It's a border crossing agent.
Fuck them Canadians.
It was an American guy, yeah.
Fuck them. Come on. Give me a
was.
break. It's so stupid.
Do you know how many tariffs these people are putting on us?
These people.
I was like, no. He's like, zillions, and he's just like, yeah. So I love Trump. I love what he's doing to these people. He's on the border. He's the guy I'm talking to get back in the country.
Listen, let's not make this about Trump or not about Trump. Trump's just doing exactly what.
I just don't remember what Obama did in 2000. What have you?
Obama wasn't vocal like Trump was.
Okay, so.
Right? But guess what Obama and Hillary Clinton campaigned on in 2008? You know what I mean? Like, I heard these things like, vote for us and
change.
Change. We will have more manufacturing. Okay, guess what? Of course you had more manufacturing jobs. You know why? It was 2009, the biggest recession in the freaking world since 1928, and every manufacturing job in the world went away. And of course they're like, oh, look, manufacturing's up. It's like, well, yeah.
Up from zero.
So is stocks. You know what I mean? It's like,
yes.
Come on. It's just... It's a hard thing to get around. And guess what? We're still always going to have manufacturing here because there's still going to be companies. When I order product today from China, I'm 100 to 120 days from getting that product. And there'll be a time when, there'll be people who are like, oh, I'll sign that thing like tomorrow. Okay, cool. You just got to pay more. Sounds good. And they'll pay for it here. And that's just it. It's when people sit there and say, oh, tariffs going to punish the other countries. Okay, it does. Don't get me wrong. It really does do that. Because they're going to be hurt.
Unless, of course, the person just keeps buying from that country. And they just keep paying more. Then it doesn't do anything, right?
Well, I don't like to say it doesn't do anything because it's still going to happen, but it punishes people here more, I believe.
Yeah, so my buddy that went from a $10,000 purchase his tariff went from $250 to $1,000. He's just still paying it.
Yeah.
And still getting the product from China.
And guess what he's going to do? He's going to pass it on to the client. By the way, that's not a big increase. It's only 7.5% increase in his costs. He went from 10,000 to 10,750.
I guess most people would say it as I went from, I now lost 10% of what I'm.
Or he just passed it on.
Yeah, so most people don't. Would you say most companies don't pass it on? I mean,
nobody passes it on.
Yeah, so he's
no.
not.
Sorry, no. Everybody passes it on.
Oh.
Well, think about it. You have to. By the way, unless his margins are huge, which I think his margins are very large.
I don't know. I mean,
depends what your margins are. In our business, we're passing it on. I have to. Our margins aren't 800.
So that's even a whole other thing we haven't even discussed.
Yeah, we have to pass on. That's what affects. That's how it hurts the people here. It hurts people here because it just gets passed on to them.
I was just thinking about it hurts the company owners.
Oh no, I'm talking about the people who are buying products.
Oh no, I never even thought about that.
You never even thought about that? That's the big thing.
Not really.
If you all of a sudden, want an everyday product, a stapler. Where the fuck did I come with stapler?
Office Space? Red stapler? Swing line? Brought to you by Swing Line Staplers.
All of a sudden you want one, it costs more money. Who's paying for that? The consumer. It only affects consumers. And when I said it doesn't affect, like me, I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just going to pay it.
So when any politician drums up tariffs, how are they not?
Well, that's the thing. That's why I'm talking about when I say don't blame Trump only. You got to blame the libs because they're sitting there saying like, oh, we're going to protect American jobs. Okay, you're protecting American jobs maybe, but you're also hurting American families by doing that. I'm all about free trade. All about it. All about it. To me, it's more competition, makes a better product, and everybody wins. Paul, we got to protect. Okay, well, then make a better product. Why do we feel like we're such entitled people that we have to buy them? When people say, like, got to buy American, I'm like, okay, well, what about how many parts in that American car are made overseas?
Harley Davidson's full of Chinese parts.
Yeah, everybody is.
Yeah, that's weird.
I laugh at that and go, okay, you got to buy. I get it. We want to say, but listen, don't even get me started on the auto industry. When you have janitors at auto factories making $100,000 a year, I'm sorry.
What is that comment? What are you talking about? What you talking about?
I used to work in finance at a dealership in Toledo, and we sold a lot of Jeeps to Chrysler employees. And we do why was the eye roll there?
I can't even keep track of all the cars. Who owns what?
Chrysler
owns Jeep.
They own Jeep.
Yeah, I couldn't even. I had to put that.
And
together.
I remember we'd have like literally janitors come in, and they wouldn't really pay attention to their pay. And I'm like, okay, so you make $104,000 a year. Oh, I do. Yeah, you do. A janitor. And by the way, that to me is the union's fault. So the unions complain, oh, we got to protect our employees. Well, when your janitor's making $100,000, it's time to cut people. That's who's getting cut. Sorry, tough luck. A janitor should not be making $100,000. I shouldn't say that. It doesn't seem reasonable that a business can sustain itself paying its janitors $100,000. I don't know how it's been since the crisis in 2008, 2009, but the UAW is still pretty strong. I was looking at it and saying, all these people hide behind this, like, I'm here to protect these people. It's like, well, okay, you're protecting them with more wages, but guess what? You want more money? Great. But then guess what happens when things are tough? Bye-bye.
You love unions?
I'm not a fan of unions, and I'm not a fan of, what should I say is this? I hate that whole cliche of unions were started originally to really help people. Okay, got it. It was help to help people's work, but since then, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. You know
what do you think unions are doing, in your opinion?
I think they increase the cost to consumers, and that is the same issue. They talk about being there for the little guy, but they increase the cost. How much less would a car cost if you didn't have to pay a janitor $100,000 a year? $42 an hour plus overtime.
I didn't know the janitors were making that much.
Listen, this may be anecdotal, but we saw many. I mean, if you call the York Automotive in Toledo and ask them that question, I'm sure they say, "Oh yeah, there's plenty." $42 an hour, 30 plus. Guess what? Union wages. You add that they're making $37 an hour. It probably costs an extra $10 to $15 an hour for the manufacturer to pay them with all the overtime and benefits and all that stuff. So at the end of the day, you're building a car at $57 an hour, and China's paying their people $4 an hour, $3 an hour, $2 an hour. Who's gonna win?
Yeah.
Who's going to win? It doesn't take rocket science to figure that out. But we blame China. No, I mean, I know it sounds terrible, and I don't blame anybody for going, Paul, I'm going to make $100,000 sweeping floors. I'm going to make more power to you. But don't get mad then when all of a sudden your company is going under because you guys only make $3,000 per car. That's not anybody else's fault but your union who got you a $100,000 paycheck a year. Sorry, that's life.
Seems like there's a lot of stuff wrong with the states, and
But there's a lot of great stuff, though.
money-wise, how is any of that ever going to change?
It's not.
It's not.
That's what free markets do. Free market. I still consider unions part of free markets. They're allowed to go fight for their employees. At some point, you ever read the book Atlas Shrugged?
I've heard of it a zillion times. I never read it. I don't read books.
Oh, that's right.
I've probably read maybe 4 or 5 books my whole life.
Come on, that's a lie.
No.
Really? Okay, well, I saw that organic chemistry book on your desk yesterday, on your table yesterday.
Well, that was funny. I've looked in books for research, but like we've talked about this before, you read 60 books a year or something. Like, I
don't know if it's that much.
I can't name the last book I read.
All right.
Now, I do listen, but that listening is not the same as reading.
Which is still a good effort.
However, we all know that the listeners, as you always love, the listeners like to say they read, but they're actually listening. That's probably me too.
Which I'm okay. And Tim is somebody who listens and says he listens. He doesn't hide behind it. But anyhow, the whole point I'm trying to make.
Darnell does.
Darnell, but he just says he's reading. He's like, no, I'm reading it. I'm like,
you're listening to it. Anyway, so I've never read it. What's it about? I don't understand what it's about.
So what the premise is all these producers of society that everybody hates because they're wealthy, but they're the ones that own factories and provide jobs, and they're wealthy, but everybody hates them because they're wealthy. Atlas Shrugged. They hold the world on their shoulders, and they just shrugged. They finally said, I'm done, and they shrugged, and they went away, and the world starts to crumble. It's a fiction story by Ayn Rand, but the whole point is, if you think about it, at some point, it's just like we talked about taxes before. If you put tax rate at 90%, do you think I'm going to go do this rigmarole to make an extra 10 cents on every dollar I make? No chance. At some point, you got to sit there and say, listen, for everything, just like the things that I want that are good, I would love to have a 5% federal income tax, but then you can't have me complaining when the roads are broken and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Great. You can't complain when the police department sucks. Okay, that's fine. There's a happy medium somewhere, but everybody just thinks that more money equals. What are you typing there?
All right, I was going to ask you about this thing I saw. As having not spoken to you, I saw this little rant, and having never spoken to you, I would have not have known this, but I can't find it.
What is it?
Who's this guy? He was on Joe Rogan's podcast. Is his name like Ben Simon?
Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, I've never listened to him.
Oh, really? Not once?
Not one time. He's libertarian. You love him, right, Tim? You like him.
Yeah, you're libertarian too. What does that mean again?
We believe in classic liberalism, which is limited government, and people can do what they want as long as they don't directly, physically, I guess, or not physically only, but affect other people, which is very subjective, to be honest with you.
I thought, let me see if this.
Are you gonna play it?
I think so. I just want to see if it'll pop in here. Hold on a second.
You can
Okay, I want you. I don't think you've heard this. I want you to listen to this. Here we go. You ready?
Okay.
So let's say you own a pencil factory. I'm a worker in that pencil factory. You can have all the machinery, you can buy all the raw materials you want, but without me, and presumably many others like me, to assemble the pencils, all you would have is a pile of wood, yellow paint, graphite, rubber, and aluminum.
Okay.
That would be worth, and that is worth less than the pencil when you try and sell it. And yet, all of that value added by labor, apart from the wages that you give me, which if we're being honest, there is a major power imbalance in our ability to negotiate that. Well,
if all that putting the pencil together requires is basic use of your prefrontal cortex, then yes, your labor is alienable at lower rates than if you are a doctor. That's not the fault of the person who owns the machinery.
But if you didn't have workers like me and your pencil factory, and you were just one man.
But I have millions of people who are willing to do that voluntarily for me.
Yes.
If you were just one person trying to assemble pencils, you're not going to get very far. You need workers. Capital needs labor infinitely more than labor needs capital. That's why you have worker cooperatives where the workers
Wrong. And he started to say, I fundamentally disagree with that. That is the most asininely entitled little bitch comment of all time.
Listen to the rest.
Disagree on the distinction between capital and labor. Capital is just a term for money. If you're talking about money, money does not grow from the ground. Money only has value because it was traded for labor at one point or the products of labor. So if I take my money and I buy machinery, I have invested my labor in doing that because I didn't get the money from nowhere. Even if I got it from my parents didn't get the money from nowhere. The people who built the machines required me to trade something of value to them in order for me to obtain the machines. The people who invented the machines required people to pay them in order to get the patent to that machine so they could build the machine. seen. The problem that I'm seeing in what you're saying is you have still failed. If what you're talking about is a system of voluntarism, you still have not named any area in which we disagree, and yet you're telling me that you're a socialist and I'm a free marketer. So one of us has got this wildly wrong, and I'm pretty sure it's not me.
The differentiation I draw, and I'm not alone in this, I'm not one person trying to redefine anything. The differentiation I and many others like me draw between socialism and capitalism is that under capitalism, when you as the owner of the factory, you give me a wage. The wage could be $7.25, it could be $15, it could be whatever an hour, right? But you give me a wage. All the additional profit above the made from selling the pencils or whatever good you produce above what is reinvested into the company ultimately goes to you or the investors, those who own shares in the means of production.
Right.
Under socialism, those people are the workers, and the example I give, again, is cooperative enterprise.
No, those are the people who are investing the risk. So if they carry the risk, then they get the benefit.
Well,
the owner of the factory carries the risk, therefore he gets the benefit. The workers in the company you mentioned, if that company were to go bankrupt, they would carry the risk as well as the benefit. If the company goes bankrupt, and this guy has to pay off all of his debts, the worker may lose his job, but he's not the one who's going to incur the debt of having gone bankrupt. If you incur risk, then you're the one who pays the downside. The worker does not pay the downside. Okay, it is the investor who pays the downside, who invested in all the machinery, who sunk millions.
The kid's argument back should be, well, I lost my job. Yeah, you're right, you lost your job, but you're also not going to declare bankruptcy. You're not going to, if you're fortunate enough not to declare bankruptcy, you're going to have to pay back all those debts. There still is a risk involved. And that's a very entitled, like, oh, well, I helped you make that, therefore I deserve a big chunk. No, you don't.
I think this goes to, like you're saying, the liberal idea or agenda of telling middle-class people that they should dislike the rich people. The CEO to normal worker gap is just getting astronomical. And a lot of people you see all the videos on Facebook, and a lot of people are like all hemming and hawing about it.
Yep, and it's fine with me. I mean, I just look at it going, okay, great. Let me know when you sacrifice Saturday and Sunday time or late at night, staying up, wondering how you're going to make payroll. Because every entrepreneur I've ever met has worried. Even me, who came from a little bit of money, has always worried, okay, what am I going to do now? My back's against the wall. What the hell do I do? So when you're willing to do that and not just clock out at the end of the day and be done with it. When I had the one real job out of college, it was wonderful. I literally came home, I had nothing to think about.
Yeah.
Nothing.
A lot of people are very. I was definitely one that was. I enjoyed that. Clock my mind out at 5, go home and start living.
And I love
life.
it too. I love it too to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I do get antsy at night sometimes, even now, going like, oh, I can't. I get upset, but sometimes I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna loaf. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna play guitar. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. I'm gonna go play tennis. But he's sitting there saying, well, we did all the work. It's like, but Ben Shapiro brings a good point. Well, yeah, but I provided the capital. Where that capital came from was my time and my work, or somebody else's time and work. We've already spent that time and work doing this. Just because you're doing it now doesn't mean it's any more important than mine. You don't want that? Fine. That's why I don't like minimum wage. I don't like minimum wage because that guy right there says you need to pay me $15. What if somebody who's just like, you know what, I'm happy making 14. I'm happy making 13. What if it's a high school kid making pencils? He's like, I'm happy making $9 an hour. But now the government said, no, kid, you cannot have that job for $9 an hour, even though you are personally willing to go do it. You have to give it up to some other guy who wants it for $15 an hour. I just don't get it. Am I saying my system's perfect? No, but at least in my system, everybody will get what they're responsible for.
You've never heard this guy speak?
I never listened to him speak, but that's the whole point. Listen to how similar we sound. That's what I love about libertarians. We all sound very similar. We don't have these you talk to a Republican now, I don't even ask Republicans what they believe because I just think it's all garbage. Some of them are this, some of them are anti-gun. I have a Republican who said to me recently, I don't care what you say, my kid's in school, guns should be stopped. So a gun killed your kid. It's so funny. I heard a great argument the other day. I'm not pro-choice or pro-life. I couldn't care less. I'm not pro-gun, anti-gun. The whole idea of, well, we need the reason I agree with the Second Amendment thing is because, listen, it's still the Constitution. If you want to go change the Constitution, fine. But the whole point is you can't pick and choose what you listen to in the Constitution. Somebody said, so wait a second. We should legalize abortion because if we don't legalize it, it'll just be back alley and dangerous. But we should make guns illegal because all of a sudden guns will go away. So abortion is illegal, and it's not going to go. You know what I mean? I look at that going, it's completely countering arguments there. I do not for 1 second believe that you put guns away and shooting stop. Maybe they're lessened. But even then, if somebody wants to, they'll figure out some other way to do it. Just like I said on Facebook a few years ago, jokingly, when that person drove a Ford van into a crowd in Paris or something like that, I said, we got to start banning Ford vans. They're just killing too many people. It's like, guys, somebody will figure out a way to hurt lots of people. It's not a gun problem. It's a psychological problem. It's an entitlement problem. It's something like that. But us libertarians all sound very, very similar. But all these Democrats and Republicans, they sound different, but they're all saying the same thing, but in a different way. I had a Republican once tell me that he believes in higher taxes for everyone. And I was like, you're not a Republican. He's like, yes, I am. I'm like, what makes you a Republican? I hate Hillary Clinton. That doesn't make you a Republican. That does not make you a Republican just because you don't like Hillary Clinton. Sorry. That was it. That's what they said. Anyhow, I rant, but I've never heard that guy before because I just don't want to. I try not to listen to it as much because I don't have to purposely listen to it. It just gets me riled up. I allow it to rile me up. I should say that. But yeah, it's not. It doesn't get me riled up. I allow it to rile me up. But same point. I mean, listen. I give that guy credit who was countering him because I saw the background. He's at Young Americans for Freedom, which is a very, very right-wing organization. So for that guy to stand up and say that, it takes a lot of, that is very difficult. I'd have a hard time standing in front of a bunch of liberals and saying my point of view.
I don't know how it ends. Let's see. I can't remember.
Millions of dollars into making your labor productive. Because guess what? Your labor is without that machinery. Gunk. Nothing. You don't have a pencil to put together. You don't got the wood. You don't got the paint. You don't got the rubber. You don't got the metal. You got nothing. Right? You're sitting there, standing outside, twiddling your thumbs. It required somebody to invest. Who do you think put more in? The guy who spent millions of dollars buying all the machinery, leasing the place, making sure there was a management structure, doing the LLC formation, making sure all the tax code was in compliance, or you standing outside because you can stick a piece of graphite into a piece of wood?
Pause that real quick.
Now we're done.
He says it, sarcastically, and it comes across very arrogant. And it's the same problem I have. I think some of the things I say come across very arrogant, but he makes a valid point there. Who has more involved there? It's like, I always tell people jokingly, if I'm going to lose $10,000 or X amount of hours of my time, now if it happens over, I'd rather lose my time. The money just sucks. I'd rather go, hey, Paul, go work 10 extra hours and that $10,000 will come right back in your pocket. I will gladly go do that. Gladly. So I look at that going, now the other guy's comment should be like, well, listen, but we've always proven over time that when jobs are lost, there might be a temporary, but even when jobs are terrible, I think the unemployment rate hit 10.8% or 10% in 2009. It still meant 9 out of 10 people were employed. Now, granted, there was underemployment that was way higher. Underemployment being loss of hours, not full time, not doing the real work they're supposed to be doing is probably like 20%. But still, we're talking, how many business owners do you know that went under in 2008 and 9? Went under completely. Now, I have criticism for them as well. They probably got too fat, enjoyed the good times, didn't realize how there's criticism of them as well, but it's a totally different criticism. It's you didn't plan accordingly, you didn't know your downside risk, you just thought everything would be great forever and things would be good. That's a totally different conversation. But I just don't buy that whole like, oh, well, I work hard because I'm making you all this money. Whenever I meet somebody who says, I'm sick of making my boss rich, I immediately go, and you will never, ever work for me. And people will say that like, oh, I started my own business because I was sick of making my boss rich. I'm like, you mean you were sick of getting paid to do your job? Is that what you're telling me right now? Right, Timo?
Well, that's the mentality, right?
Oh, he's on that thing. Yeah, that's a mentality.
That's the mentality.
So anyhow, it's just, that guy is the same guy who wants $15 on a minimum wage. And then when somebody has to lay people off, when they don't realize it doesn't affect as much the Walmart as the guy who owns the mom and pop shop that's owned by a couple for how long, and they have 3 workers are like, we can't have you anymore. Not only are you we're going to have less people, the people who stay on are going to work more and harder, which they should for $15 an hour versus 9. Everybody thinks that, you just want to make more money? Higher minimum wage is inflationary. By the way, I love inflation. I'm an owner of real estate. Inflation helps me out a lot because all of a sudden inflation costs buildings that cost more money to build, and my real estate causes incomes to go up, causes rents to go up. Everybody makes more money. But at the end of the day, there's a healthy balance of inflation. We don't want too much inflation. We don't want deflation. There's just healthy balances. And that guy, it just aggravates me so much. Why would you think that you're entitled to the profits because, like he said, you put a piece of wood in a graphite or whatever it is, put a graphite in a piece of wood? It's not about that. And when people say like, oh, we should have an estate, like he said, we got it from your parents. The government's sitting there saying, you heirs don't deserve the money, but we do. And somebody else who didn't have anything to do with their family does, but you don't. It's like their parents made the money. It's their decision what happens with the money.
Yeah.
They've already paid how much 50% in taxes essentially on that money to begin with, then 30% of the gains, and then you pay an extra 45% on that. So at the end of the day, how much are they left with? 10, 15 cents of every. So the dollar that was earned ends up being dwindled down to 10% because of taxes. And people say that's fair. Okay. So the point of Atlas Shrugged is eventually you'll get to the point where people just go, I'm not coming to America anymore. People think that's not possible. Look at Great Britain. Great Britain was a land of opportunity. People are still emigrating to Great Britain, but where do people emigrate to the most now? The U.S. And that's probably going to shift at some point. It'll probably end up going to Eastern Asia at some point.
Did you live in London or something?
We lived in England for 3 years. Not London, but we always lived in
I can hear it in your voice. Going back.
Either way, I ranted.
See how I bring that back around, though?
I like that. I should listen to more Ben Shapiro, but at the same point, I don't want to rile myself up going, oh, I hate this.
This is why we started this, because it's like, man, you sound a lot like this guy called Gary Vee. You ever heard of him?
Yeah.
Never heard of him.
No, I'd heard of Gary Vee.
Not when we started in
Yeah,
October.
100%. I know Gary Vee.
You're not like watching him.
Exactly. I don't listen to him a ton.
I've never seen Ben Shapiro.
Everybody would be like, Paul, you sound exactly like Gary Vee. You sound like Gary Vee. You sound like Gary Vee. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you kind of look like him too.
Yeah, I just, it's, I see people in passing and things pop up and I just go about I spew my venom. And if somebody says, that sounds a lot like this person, I'm like, great, I like that person.
Any more news on the House bill?
It's still on pause.
I'm shocked about that. I don't understand.
I'm trying to exert some fiscal responsibility.
You got one life, man. Let's go shoot hoops.
And I'm 37, and I'm going to have plenty of life to live. I have 63 years left of living at least, so...
You're adamant about this.
Yeah, I'll live to 100 plus.
Did you see the Joe... You didn't.
No.
You should see this Joe Rogan podcast. It gets a little boring because it's science-based, but it's Joe Rogan and a guy named David Sinclair.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
And he's like, he's like I'm getting this wrong, but it's like the director of blah, blah, blah for at Berkeley. It's always at Berkeley or something. Yeah. But no, he actually does like very serious research and like on anti-aging.
There's a lot of stuff going into that. Yeah.
He takes metformin. Have you heard of this drug?
No.
It helps with diabetes, like blood sugar regulation.
Yeah.
And so like he's not diabetic, but he takes this diabetic medicine every night, a gram of it. Then he takes something, I should know what this is. I'm a scientist. I didn't look it up. He takes this other thing called NDA or MNA. It sounds like it's a Molly or some sort of a drug, but it's not like a
Molly.
Molly. No, it's
I thought
like
you were saying that as molecule. I'm like, okay.
some sort of drug that he takes in the morning. So like he's specifically putting like chemicals in his body that
to delay aging.
And of course he's 50 and looks like he's like literally like maybe 37.
So here's the deal. If you think about it, it's got to be the next big
That's what he's
breakthrough.
saying.
It has to be because people
So
are getting old.
Didn't you say that you think I think he's saying the same thing. There's
150?
150. Someone
There's been a lot of people have said that.
Born today.
Somebody's alive today. The first person who's going to live to 150 is alive today.
He doesn't say that specifically on this podcast, but he's talking about things that he's in love with and that they've proven over and over in mice, rats and whatnot is like he's a big fan of the fast and like intermittent fasting.
Oh yeah,
portion control, calorie control. And sadly, I got a new grill and a smoker, so I'm huge into like meats. But it's like, of course, they're going back to like all the meats are terrible. If you can, but you got to watch it, bro. The one thing he said is, okay. The one thing he said too, which I'm not like totally clear on, is like when humans and plants are put under high forms of stress, it triggers processes in the body and in the plant to counteract the stress. So extreme cooling in these like cryo chambers, followed by like steam saunas and then jumping into ice baths. It gets your body pumping these chemicals where you can heal and slow down the aging process.
Look at LeBron.
There you go. The same thing goes for plants. He said if you can eat all the colored plants, the plants that are forced into color, purple beets and blah blah blahs, and
I love beets.
Really?
Love them.
Cooked, not raw. I mean, come on.
No, not raw, but like cooked and all that stuff.
Jicama. Oh, jicama.
You know that salad from Mexico
Yeah,
House?
well, they're incredible.
Yeah.
Anyway, the guy's name is David Sinclair. It's an incredible.
I gotta
podcast.
look him up. Well, the thing is, like, it's also about quality. Like, I don't want to live to 150 and it be like, for the last 50 years of it, I'm just sitting there staring. But if I can live it, I saw 60 Minutes once where they had like 92-year-olds like walking down the street, like power walking. I was like, yeah, that's what I want. Like, I look at Warren Buffett. He's 90. He's gonna be 90 soon. He looks fine. I mean, he's very quick and all that stuff, but he's overweight. I mean, I thought to myself, I drink a lot of pop, so I thought to myself, okay, maybe I should give up meats. And to me, it's just the long quality of life I want to have. I just want to be able to enjoy everything that I've done so far and enjoy it for a long period of time. So you sit there and say, Paul, life is short. I go, so if I build at 45 versus 37, it's still going to be a beautiful, I already live in a beautiful house.
Yeah.
What am I really sacrificing? That's part of my whole entitlement thing that I want to, am I being entitled by saying I should build this house?
Never crosses your mind that something could happen.
Of course it does. But you know what? If I do that, then I'm not going to live life.
Most people use that to live life. I mean,
yeah, you're right. But to me, it's
most people use that phrase to overlive life at the moment.
Exactly. It's their excuse to overlive. To me, I look at going,
overlive.
I have a beautiful home. I have a beautiful lifestyle. What am I trying to do? Get a nicer home? Listen, the home's going to be awesome, and I want to live in it. But at the same point, I look at going, I didn't like how it, my thing was, I can easily afford the house, but I didn't like how it was slowly getting way high. And I know me. When we're building, there's going to be something that pops up and going, yeah, I don't really want that. And it's going to cost a lot. So I look at going, that number I came up with isn't the real number. It's still going to be more. So I was like, listen, exert some self-control, delay it a year. And then you can, because I don't want to have a lot of debt on my house, because this is a house that's not going to sell for probably, a huge profit, because it's not a normal. Yeah. So I look at that going, yeah, life's short, but life is short, but I also have a lot to live, and there'll be other things I'll be able to do.
I think if you had, it's funny is maybe some parents could, I think if you had children, you'd see how short it is.
Yeah, maybe.
How quickly they go from a baby.
I already think life is short. I'm 37. I remember 10 years ago like it was yesterday. I remember high school graduation, June 6th, 1999, 20 years ago today.
Wow.
Look at that. Today is June 6th. I remember that.
There was some singing at the graduation. Do you recall?
I do not recall that.
You don't?
I don't recall the graduation.
We'll have to talk about this also. I don't know why I remember.
Isn't that funny? June 6th, 1999. It's 20 years ago today we graduated from high school, Seth.
Wow.
Who would have thought? 20 years fast forward, you and I are sitting here.
You were in the G section. I was in the K section.
I was looking over and there was Seth schmoozing with the ladies like, hey, what's up?
No. But I mean, I was with Beth at the time.
I know, you were dating Beth.
I wasn't. She might have even been there. I can't remember. No. Come on. Maybe.
But either way, 20 years has flown by very quickly. 20 years from now, we're 57. 57. I mean, when people say midlife crisis happens at 40, I'm starting to notice that, because I start thinking to myself a lot, boy, life is short.
Well, we moved in this house, and my 9-year-old was very upset. He was leaving friends.
I know.
And I said to him, I said, man, I had these visions of what life was going to be like with children. And I said, man, you've already gone from 0 to 9. I was like, I got 9 years with you.
Yeah.
To throw in the backyard, to play catch, to wrestle, to watch Browns. Like, you're gone, bro. You don't even know it. You're gone. It's like, it's not that the house is going to define what I do with my kid, but I just had like.
That backyard is beautiful, though. You had a lot of opportunity in that backyard.
Did you see the children frolicking through the yard at sunset?
You could freaking have a baseball diamond back there.
I told Beth we might as well just build one. She's against that, but.
Did you tell her, if you build it, they will go?
I'm gonna. You know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mow a pattern, a low like field, and then get one of those fake mounds.
That's
they
a good
can pitch
idea.
off of, a little back. They have the like little net backdrops.
For sure.
And so hell yeah, we built one when I was a kid. So anywho,
life is short. Kids do grow up fast.
Yeah, so I think parents would be like, yeah, well, yeah, it's just tough. Like, it just, that might be it, is you get a different sense of time when you're watching someone else like a child go through it so quickly. And then you have to realize that you're going through it that quickly as well.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm like, that was my first thought. I was like, man, you just,
I know. But it's more for me of like exerting self-control, saying, why must I have everything right when I want it just because I can afford it? There still has to be sacrifices made. That's part of the
I wonder that too.
Excitement of life, right?
I always wonder that too. Like,
about what?
I think normal people love the idea of like, boy, if I had $1 million, what would I do? And I think the first thing is you'd pay $400,000 on taxes.
$450.
Oh yeah,
$425. Something like
yeah.
that.
So, but no, like everyone loves that conversation, right? Like, what would I do with all that money? And I always wonder, like, well, if you had all that money, why would you do anything? But you live a very normal life, considering.
I mean, I still have a very different life from that. But at the same point, it's funny. My father thinks I'm a huge spender, and that's just because he's super conservative and off the boat. And I'm like, yeah, I don't spend anywhere near what we could. It's just, we pay ourselves a good salary, and I live off that salary very comfortably and save every month. I just look at it going, I don't want to always have it. Oh, okay, I can afford that. I'm going to go buy it right now. You know what I mean? It's just.
Really?
Yeah, because I used to be that way. And then I thought to myself, you know what? Things are going to happen in business. I look at the things in business and I look at it going, we have this fantasy football startup, Tim and I are working on. I look at that going, okay, that's losing me money every month because it's in startup mode. We don't have any revenue yet. Maybe I wait a year and see how that's going and then go break ground when it's profitable, when it's generating cash flow. Okay, then I'll feel it's not anything other than it's the whole, I don't want to be entitled to, well, I have the money, therefore I should have this house. That's entitlement, right?
Well, most people don't have that, so they don't even know what you're talking about. Like,
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much little, how more money you look at entitlement look at that guy right there, that guy in the crowd saying with Ben Shapiro, I made that pencil for you. I should get part of the profit. That's entitlement. I'm the one that physically did the labor. That's entitlement. People would be surprised when you start learning about entitlement, how much entitlement we all have. Everybody has some level of entitlement. The question is, how big is it?
Not me.
I love how you did not me and just look to the side. But it's not meant as a criticism. It's meant as a, let's be aware of it and go. Like now I find myself getting something because I want it. Because I think to myself, I want this because of what it is. You know what I mean? Not because I think I deserve it because it's really nice. It's just like, no, I really, like last year I bought a few watches for myself. I haven't bought a watch this year, which people sit there and say, well, Paul, not many people, I get that, but I'm a watch person. And that's what I really like to have. But at the same point, it's not because I didn't sit there and go.
It is weird. I'm a watch person. I have one watch and have had it for 8 years.
Yeah.
So I consider myself a big watch person as well, but it's just different, right?
Yeah, it's just different. But I look at it saying, that was me saying, okay, I have the watches I want. I'm very satisfied with my watches. Now, somebody else might sit there and say, well, I have a lot of money and I love watches, therefore I just keep buying watches. Like me, I'm just like, no, I have. Now, if I see a watch that I really do want and it's a reasonable purchase for me, I will go buy it. But if it's not, I will not buy it. One of the things I always tell people is I try to buy all my clothes on sale. But the other day, I saw a pair of tennis shoes and I really liked them a lot. And they were not on sale. And it really caused me guilt to spend $130 on those tennis shoes, even though they weren't on sale. Like, I'm saying immense guilt, like immense guilt. I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I remember just being like, do I really want to do this? Like, my rule is to buy things on sale. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy the tennis shoes because I really like them a lot.
Why do you impose these rules and guilt when you've worked so hard to make all this money?
It's about keeping things just like, I don't want to get spiral out of control where I become a Kardashian. And all of a sudden, it's just this like obscene. It's like, it's nice to impose these rules just to see how disciplined you can be. I like that, saying, okay, I'm going to be disciplined. Like I spend a lot of money on books. I like to read books. I spend a lot of money on books. That's where I splurge. I never buy paperback if the option is for hardcover, ever.
You just love it.
Love the hardcover. So it's funny. That's a splurge to me where I go, I would rather spend the $20 than the $12 because I want the hardcover. Now you might sit there and think, Paul, it's only $8. Yeah, but I buy a lot of books. So those are the things I look at going, I'm going to pick and choose the areas of which, like my clothes, my shirts. These shirts are all custom made for me because I like the fit.
Beautiful shirt.
So I spend more money on those, but I figure out a way to get it, I search for the deal. To me, it's not about withholding. It's about doing it smarter. I love Nordstrom Rack. You can buy great clothes at a massive discount on Nordstrom Rack. So why go pay the full? It's funny. I don't even go to Nordstrom at all even buy clothes. I only go to the Rack. It's the best. But to me, it's not a punishing myself. It's just saying be smarter about it. That's it. Just be smarter about the purchases you make. That's all I'm trying to say. And I'm sure I'm hypocritical in some fashion.
We've talked about a lot, Paul.
Yeah, it's been a long podcast. How long has this podcast been?
48 minutes.
Holy cow, it's lunchtime.
Steak dinner?
Fleming's?
Or McDonald's?
I don't know. I swallowed a big June bug on the way over here.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Keep it real.
LearnFromUs.com.
Bye.